Let you know that we run a contest every Q&A, since I forgot the last time or two. To enter this contest, you simply just need to email us, and you're going to email us at dicetower.com. And hang on, let me pull this up here because I want to make sure I do this right. Anyway, in the contest header, in the subject line, email us at contest@dicetower.com, and in the subject header, put the word back, as in we're back, B-A-C-K, just the word back. And then in the description, just tell me what your favorite color is. I don't have anything else. I'm in a really good mood, and we're going to pick some random winners. And a random winner will win a $10 gift certificate to Game Nerds. We're going to do this every Q&A, so hopefully you enjoy that. And if you don't enjoy it, you can still go to GameNerds.com. They have a fantastic selection of games. I was just surfing there last night myself, looking at all the different games they have available. All right, so this is a Q&A, so I'm going to answer your questions. And if you have any questions that you'd like to answer, I'll ask them in the chat, and I may answer some of them. I don't answer all of them. I just will pick and choose the ones that I answer, and we'll just have a good time here for an hour. And then I got to get back to recording some more reviews. I'm about to review Space Invaders, the board game. Anyway, that's coming out on Wednesday, so I got to get that reviewed, and then I'm going to go back and work in our library some more. So let's take a look or see what we got here. I'm looking for questions. Looking through your library recently, have you found games that made you realize you must play soon? Not particularly, but I am going to play more games more often. So Saturdays, I played some games, had some people over, taught new games and played some games, and this happens a lot. And in this sort of thing, when we do this, we play good games, and sometimes we play good, bad, horrible, it doesn't matter. And I said, hey, now that the studio's here, we can always end with a definitely good game, because I can grab one from the library. So we ended Saturday with Smartphone Inc. So this will be interesting because I'm going to get to replay games I like already. Wow, we got a lot of questions here. Let me jump into this. Will we get a tour of the new studio? Yeah, I've already recorded it. We'll post it later. Do you have a longer commute to the new studio? It is longer by, I think, 2 minutes, which is not a problem at all. And it's actually shorter for Mike and Chris. And it's I think the same distance for Roy and Z. But for me, it's slightly longer, but that is not a big deal. I have a question. Do you like mixing politics with gaming? No. What was the most unexpected issue that occurred during your move? Unexpected. I don't know. All our issues were handled. I mean, everything went through. I mean, Comcast was the last company to set up and was the worst company, but that was not unexpected. I don't know that we had anything unexpected happen. What's my favorite part of the new studio? Easy. The library is, I'm 20 feet away from my library right now. Do you think you'll ever bring back talk? Maybe, but I'm not in any hurry to bring it back right now. Will there be a vote up for the game that starts with a number this week? Do you start with 0 or 1? I don't know. What is the current vote? I actually am. Oh, I see. It still says vote for games that start with the letter Z. Well, that needs to get fixed. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. We'll probably add one. Do I start with 0 or 1? No, we start with any number. Tom, I heard that there might be lots and lots more marbles racing tomorrow. I don't think there's that many. I think we have 10 new entrants tomorrow, which is a lot, obviously, but I don't think there's that many new ones. Let's see here. Nice haircut. No. My hair is not cut at all. I believe it was combed this morning when you first saw it, but I need to get a haircut badly. Everyone has different lengths of hair. My hair, this is about the longest I can bear it to be. Do you think Marvel Champions is better than Legendary with all the new expansions now out? I don't know. I still would play. I personally would prefer Legendary more. Do you happen to know if the exhibitors, vendors will be similar to who has attended in past years? No, I know a lot of exhibitors have pulled out of Gen Con, but a lot are going still. I don't really know what Gen Con is going to be like this year. We're all going to find out together. Oh, thank you, Jay, for donating. Am I going to review Korra? I guess you're going to have to wait and see. I'm not going to say that I can see it on the shelf over there or anything. Will Melody and her husband join Dice Tower for conventions and or the cruise? That's possible in the future, but right now, Melody's in college and he's in police academy, and you know, their schedules are going to be very busy and filled up. They're, of course, obviously welcome to come on these things, but they're very, busy doing other things. We'll see. How many people typically attend the retreats? Around 200. Well, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you, and it's our pleasure. Is the new internet setup drastically better? Oh my word, yes. Now, unfortunately, so here's how it works. We have Comcast here. Our Comcast speed here is the exact same as it was at the old studio, which was not amazing, but it wasn't horrifying. But we also have AT&T now, which is amazing. High-speed internet here. So if we're going to use AT&T to do our streaming, and if that fails, then we'll have Comcast as a backup, which is kind of like putting a bunch of broken glass under a net as a fail-safe thing. But we do have that backup now. And if Comcast ever gets better in the area, we'll increase the speed. I don't think anyone threw their backs out, but everyone was very tired. Let's see here. Thank you, Joel. I had a good time also. Did you get a copy of My Father's Work to review? My Father's Work is still on Kickstarter, so no. I, as a matter of course, don't review games until they're actually published. Is the Dice Tower Retreat still on? Oh, yes. We got 2 going on this year. One in November in Orlando, and one in September here in Miami. And the September one has a few spots open if you want to get involved in that one. And I mean, it is 5 straight days of pure game. We're going to break my library right here, bring it straight up to the hotel. We're just going to sit there. The Dice Tower folks will be there. We've been playing games. You want a chance to play with us or some other fantastic people playing games. It's a great time. Email Kenny, Kenny, at dicetower.com. Who do you want to see in the Marvel Comics version of the Thunderbolts? Okay, well, obviously. So we're going to take the normal Thunderbolts out of the equation. I've been actually reading through the Thunderbolts comic. But I would like to see U.S. Agent. I think Agatha would be fun in that. So that's 2. Who else would be good in the Thunderbolts? I heard Red Hulk would be great. If they could bring in Red Hulk, that would be fun. I heard Abomination could be in it possibly, but I'd rather have Red Hulk. Who else would be good in it? Those 3. Zemo, obviously. So that'd be a good start. And if I were them, I would add in 1 or 2 characters that we haven't seen before to make it new and interesting. Would you say you were closer or further away from the alligators? I guess we're closer, but again, alligators don't walk on land much here. You know, alligators live in swamps. I always find that interesting that people think the alligators are just like roaming around in Florida. They stay in ditches and where there's, the we have no water here on the property. I don't even know where the closest water is. I mean, granted, we're 5 miles from the swamps, the Everglades, but alligator's not going to walk 5 miles down a road for whatever reason. How is the homestead fire? Does it affect you or the new studio? Huh, I didn't know people knew about that. Yeah, there was a brush fire south of Homestead. It affected us mostly because there was smoke and some ash falling from the sky for a bit. But it didn't make, as far as I know, nobody had to evacuate anywhere. Actually, it was closer to where I live than to where the studio was. And yeah, so there was definitely, you could smell the smoke for 2 days. But it wasn't bad like, last year when it was really bad in California and Oregon. It wasn't like that bad, but it was definitely noticeable. And fortunately, it was contained fairly quickly. I don't know if anyone got hurt or anything even out of it, but you could see it for sure. Let's see here. Who is painting our miniatures? Well, Roy has painted some. Vernon Piper's painted a lot in the library in the past. And we got even, I think there's even a few in there painted by Sam and Rob from back in the day. But nowadays, the main painting is done by Holly, my daughter. She's currently working through Marvel United. And Chris's wife, Wendy, is painting through a lot of stuff. Let's see here. Did you unpack the top 10 list book yet? Where is that? I don't even know where that is. You're right. That should have been unpacked. Huh. You're right. I should have noticed that. That was in a bin of stuff for. It might be in my office. I'll have to go check through my office. The most unexpected issue about the move were the comments over your paint color choice. Yeah, that's true. I was surprised at how, like everyone who's come over to visit has said, I really like the paint colors. And when we did it, we were happy. Then the people in here are like, oh, it's horrible. Hope you repaint over the original owner's colors. Oh, okay. Anyway, Jay says, how likely will someone at Dice play my small indie game if I send a free copy? That's a good question. And I cannot tell you the answer to that. Because, and people ask me that all the time, will you play my game? If we think it looks interesting and it catches our fancy and we have time, and there's many, many, many different effects that could come into play. But there is no guarantee that we'll play a game. I play a ton of games, but I don't even come close to playing the number of games that are out there. And so, you can always send it in, email me. It has to be a published game, obviously. But, yeah, who knows? Lots of people have books on their shelves they never read, and games on their shelves they hardly ever play. Do books get more respect, and if so, why? I don't know. Do books get more respect than who? So I have books. I don't have a ton of books, but I have books. I have a pile of kids' books, and I keep those because I want my kids to read them. I have a pile of personal books, but that pile is really diminished because for the most part, I now read on Kindle, whether on my phone or my iPad, and I've put most of the books that I really like on these. So I like that. So I don't need to have this big collection of books. If I do have books, though, I plan to read them at some point, or I won't keep the book on the shelf. If I look at that book and go, I'll never read that book again, then why have it? Unless, of course, that book has some sort of nostalgia. If it's a study book or reference book, that's different. But I will use this again in my life. But if it's just a book to read, so I feel the same way about books as I do about games. I have not met all the neighbors yet. I met a few of the neighbors, and I don't think they're gamers. I haven't asked because I just don't talk about that much. Did you like the Captain America Falcon costume? Yes, I did. What's the best way to have eggs prepared? I like eggs Benedict the best, although I know it's a very difficult way to do it comparatively. So for quick and dirty, I go with over easy. Who is doing a majority of the decorating at the new studio? Did you hire a firm or are you doing it yourself? Oh, we're definitely doing it ourselves. We did not hire a firm. Z has a really good eye for this sort of thing, and Z and Mike have been working together to do the studios. And then I have my input, and I decorate. Like, so, for example, if you see the pictures, like the Cthulhu and the little statues and knickknacks around the studio, and the big dice things on the walls, that's me, you know. But the studios itself are done by Mike and Z. Now, we work together on this studio, so I told them when they showed me these, and I said, "Oh, that looks pretty cool." And then they put that on the white. They found the boards, they built this, and made it look cool. I got this at IKEA, and I saw this. I thought this would look neat, and I was originally going to put it in my house, but then brought it here to the studio. And Z was like, "I don't know about the red color, but it just happened to work. That was just luck on my part." But Z and Mike are the ones who are really good at that sort of thing. You said, now that time has passed since you reviewed Sleeping Gods, would you recommend it over Ryan's other similar games? I really want a copy, but I'm also considering near and far, above and below, which is best. I'm not going to tell you which one's best, but I'll tell you it's not similar to them. I thought it was similar when I first heard about it, but when you're playing through it, it's a very different beast of a game. Do anything fun for Mother's Day? Not particularly. My kids made my wife breakfast in bed. I bought lunch. Then my wife went and visited her mom for most of the rest of the day. And that was it. It was a pretty quiet day all around. What's your favorite game so far this year? You know, I almost never answer that question because I'd rather wait to the end of the year and go back and look at all the games that came out. Although I did say I could already make a top 10 from the games that came out so far this year. Which Kickstarter do you regret backing and why? Well, lots of Kickstarters I regret backing, but they're not board games like you might think. I've regretted so many different various tech Kickstarters. The suitcases, and anytime you see Z who mentioned something about suitcase and I get irritated, that's a Kickstarter I backed that was very problematic. You mentioned there were spots available for the September retreat. Does that mean November is full at this point? That means that November could be full. We have a waiting list that would fill it if they all sign up. So we're letting those people go first. I'm trying to sign up for the retreat, but the website still says it's 2018. Where can we sign up? Please email Kenny@dicetower.com to sign up. Have you seen the new Venom 2 trailer? No. Are you a symbiote fan? Maybe, but I thought Venom was pretty much a blah of a movie. It was a 6 out of 10 at best. At best. Venom with no Spider-Man is... I don't know why. That's the same reason I wasn't interested in the Joker movie. Joker with no Batman, I don't get the point of that. Let's see here. I've heard horror stories of gators climbing fences and eating dogs. Is that just a wives' tale? Well, I'm sure these things have happened, right? There's all kinds of horror stories you can read about things. But lots of people here in the Redlands, which is where I live in this area, which is the area that's basically next to the Everglades, lots of people who live here have pets. The bigger problem that they have around here is people come to this area because it's wide open, there's big swaths area. There's a big problem with people coming and leaving animals, leaving dogs and cats, just leaving them out of their cars, for whatever reason. They don't want the dog anymore, or that dog got puppies or whatever, and they leave them out here. Then those animals don't know how to survive in the wild and end up getting eaten by gators or whatever else you might have. But it is not an infestation here at all. Florida always people make Florida out to be way worse than it is. it just, yes, there are bugs, but like we joke, we had scorpions in the last house for whatever reason, but like maybe 5 over the course we were there, but that was 5 too many for me. But that was only because that house was in a very wooded area, and there was scorpions in that one particular wood area, very rare. In the rest of Florida, we got flies. That's annoying, but I got my salt gun, and my fly kill rate has gone up tremendously over the last few weeks. Mosquitoes, cockroaches, and there are giant cockroaches in Florida. However, giant cockroaches don't get in your house if you take care of it. You know, you put out this stuff. And ants, there's these little ants that get in almost everyone's house down here. But again, I don't consider none of those to be a big deal. Snakes show up in people's yards occasionally. I haven't seen that happen. We keep our grass cut, and again, that's more of a marshy thing. The biggest thing that down here that might bother some people would be lizards. There's these little lizards, and they are everywhere. You walk by the grass, there's lizards, and lizards get in the house. In fact, today, when I came to the studio, I walked in, a little lizard ran across the floor somewhere, disappeared. I didn't care. And you say, why don't you care? Because they don't bother us at all. They run at the sight of a human, and they eat bugs. So, never had a problem with lizards. And they eventually get back out of the house. So, but that might bother people. By the way, Matthew, thank you for joining. And yes, on that side note, no scorpions in the new place. No bugs at all. I haven't even seen a cockroach. I think we saw an ant, but I'm pretty sure it came in from outside, like on something. You seem like you're into music. Yes, but not maybe the way you might think. I think most people would disagree. I tend to like show music or cheerful, happy music. So, do I have a favorite band or artist? Not particularly. There's just lots of people that I like. My favorite, I guess, rock band, if there was, would be Queen. And but I don't like everything they've done. But I like a lot of what they've done. But I don't really have any particular. Like a lot of times, sometimes the guys and different people will talk about bands and things, and I don't even know what they're talking about. Did you find anything in the move you had lost or didn't know you had? A few things. There's something I bought to use at a convention that I forgot I had bought for a convention, and now I set it in the closet and said we'll use it at the next convention. And there's a few things, some games and stuff, but no, I don't know that we found too much that I didn't know we have. What is the oldest game in the library? You mean like, I'm going to assume you mean by date-wise. Well, there's chess is in the library, so there you go. I think it's chess. No, Go is not in the library. What's the best way to move games to a new house? In boxes. But I'll tell you this, and this is a big deal. When you go to, if you're in America, you can get boxes at Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace like that. And they have small, medium, and large boxes. Use the smalls. It's so much better. The mediums and the large, you fill them up with the games. They're too heavy. They're hard to move. And it's easier to move more times with smaller boxes. Those small boxes also fit Ticket to Ride size games in perfectly. You'll need a few medium boxes to move some of the bigger games, but not many. Are skunks an issue where you are? I don't think so. Because I think you would smell a skunk occasionally. I've seen possums here. I've seen raccoons. I haven't seen a skunk. Well, maybe they're around. Are there future plans of on-site events? I don't know. We gamed here Saturday, and we had 2 games. The table that I'm sitting at, we were able to game, and then there's another table. We have 2 tables worth. That's not a lot. If I move the library out of the library and like push it all against the wall, I can fit another table in. And if it's a nice day, our back patio, we could fit another 3 tables out there. So yeah, that could be a mini retreat if we really pushed forward towards it. I don't know that we'll do that. Has someone been given a job that does the high ledges yet? No, but I'm working on that. Is there a book that had a big impact on you? I'm assuming you're excluding the Bible from that. Do you have a favorite book? I have a top 10 favorite books, and some of them, there was one that had a big impact on me. It's a small book you've never heard of. There's just been various books in my life that I've sat and thought about for a really long time. And, I remember, I'm a big reader of fiction, right? So books and fiction make me think a lot. I remember as a kid, I read Redwall, the first Redwall, and I thought about Redwall for the longest time. Rifles for Wadey, which is a great book. It's about a boy who gets caught up in the American Civil War and ends up on both sides for reasons. And it was a really, really good book. Anyway. Was watching The Boring Move in library organizing. Did I miss Pitch Car? Yes, you did miss Pitch Car because it was not there. Pitch Car is in our storage unit. I have 2 storage units. The library was in one, and we have just stuff in the other one. And in the other one is Pitch Car. I just noticed that when we were in the other one, I was pulling stuff out, and I thought, I'm going to store that here in the studio somewhere. But I don't know where yet. So that's why it's still in storage. Is there going to be a Merchant's Cove review this week, actually? Will this week's boring unboxing be the biggest and most boring ever? Well, it's going to be long. I just asked Roy. It's 18 minutes long. So there is that. Obsession. I've reviewed Obsession before. You can go watch that review, I guess. What's the most complicated thing you know how to cook yourself? I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't know what that means, actually. I apologize. I mean, I once you know how to make something, I don't know that it's complicated, and I would be hesitant to say here. Whose idea was it to start the Dice Tower channel? Well, it was mine. But I've actually talked about this. If you're curious to know more, let's look up History of the Dice Tower, and I talk about how that all came together. By the way, if you ask a question and I don't answer it, ask me a second time and I don't answer it, I can guarantee you the third time doesn't suddenly make me answer it. I'm just not answering every question, folks. Sometimes I've answered these questions before. Sometimes I don't feel like answering it, and I apologize for that. But it just makes it go much smoother and quicker. I saw you're going to have videos of announcements from game publishers this year. Was that inspired by the teasers from the last year's Dice Tower Awards, as mentioned in the newsletter? No, actually, that came from our Gen Con show. We used to do a show at Gen Con, and we're probably going to do a show at Gen Con this year. But at Gen Con, we always did a big show, and in that show, we had announcements for new games. And I thought that'd be a fun thing to do in Summer Spectacular. So I have many companies that are going to be making new announcements for things you haven't heard of before. And I know about a couple of the announcements, and they're spectacularly cool. Now, I'm not hinting towards Spider-Man. People always try to read into things. No, they're just really cool announcements. No, I'm not talking about Iceman. And then some of them I don't even know what they are. So I'm working with that together. I have a list of publishers who are going to be doing that, and there'll be just one video in the Summer Spectacular where it's like, here are announcements. Da, 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 da. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Which expansion am I most excited in for Marvel United X-Men? Probably the Sentinels. That was really cool. And the blue gold. I'll talk about my opinions on this stuff. So the blue gold was the ones I was looking most forward to. It has my favorite X-Men Iceman, and then the Rogue and Gambit. So overall, I thought the X-Men United Kickstarter was pretty cool. There was some things I did not like about it. I would have preferred all the characters to be different. I don't need 3 copies of Cyclops, 3 copies of Wolverine, etc., etc. with all the characters that are in the Marvel universe, multiple versions of the same character, I find that kind of boring. I know some people like that sort of thing. I was just like, eh. Like the original First Class. Okay, fine. That would have been something I would have liked to see in the future. But meanwhile, you didn't give me any. They didn't do many teenagers from, or the younger crowd from the X-Men. So there was no Generation X stuff in there. We haven't seen the Young Avengers or the New Warriors. And I was disappointed by that because I like those people. But I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it was obviously huge and exciting and big, and there's some really things I do like in it. I'm not interested at all in the Deadpool expansion, but I do like the Blue and Gold and the Sentinels. I don't know how excited I am about the Phoenix 5. I like Fantastic Four, of course. I was surprised by that one. I didn't expect that one to be in it. And also X-Force with Cable. That's cool too. But the Phoenix 5 is okay. I like Marvel vs. X-Men, but and was that all the things? Deadpool? But yeah, for the most part, I'm very excited about it. Let's see here. I mean, Florida's pretty gross. Oh, okay. You know, people say that, and I guess that's fine, then don't live here. But I'll tell you, when I go outside the studio door here and I look at that blue sky and I see the palm trees and I feel the amazing weather, and then I walk around and look at the diverse mix of cultures, a mix of people who are here. And when I see the Everglades, which is one of the world's biggest, or the nation's biggest national parks, and all the cool wildlife that's there, and I hear the birds tweeting and flying overboard, then yeah, if you consider that gross, so be it. But I love it. I really do. Sure, it gets hot in Florida, but unlike the rest of the nation, when we get hot, we have air conditioning that works really, really well. And it's amazingly cool inside here. And the summer and the winters here are just terrific. We got beautiful beaches nearby. We got hodgepodge, like I said, of culture, which I love. Yeah, I think it's fantastic living here. Did you see the new Mortal Kombat movie? I did. Yeah, it was okay. I didn't really like it that much. I fell asleep actually during it the first time and then woke up and watched the rest of it. It was the video game brought to life as a movie. It wasn't as bad as the first Mortal Kombat, but that's not saying much. Did you see the Mitchells versus the Machines? No, I wanted to. My family watched that one without me. And I'll watch it at some point, but I like watching stuff like that with my kids. Favorite zoo animals, monkeys by far. Who misses you most when you're gone? Fluffy, I don't know who Fluffy is, but I'm assuming you mean Fuzzy, my dog. My wife or Mike DeLisio, I'm going to go with Fuzzy probably. In hindsight, did you think that going over the title of Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone in your latest crowd surfing stream and missing that it was based on a TTRPG was a big facepalm moment? Well, no. I don't even know what we're talking about. Oh, okay, so you're saying that we missed the fact that Cyberpunk Red was based on a tabletop role-playing game, and I should facepalm myself for not knowing that? No. No. Anytime anyone says anything like that, I almost want to be like, all right, bring it. you're going to get on my case for not knowing some small piece of information? You want to get into the board game world and do some trivia throwdown with me? I'm ready. Ow, that hurt. Yeah, Reiner's right here. He says, areas where you do not live always seem far more exotic and dangerous. Sure, it's like when I lived in South Korea. People are like, oh, you live so close to North Korea, it's so dangerous. I guess, but you don't think about it all the time. No matter where you are, people are going to go, you live there, tornadoes. You live there, hurricanes. You live there, blizzards. You live there, desert. You live there. You can live pretty much anywhere. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence for many people, but also the animals are always scarier on the other side of the fence. How difficult of a task is it to cull games from your library? It doesn't even make me lose 1 wink of sleep. Not difficult at all. Do I donate to a local game store? We don't have a local game store, so no. And even if I did, why would I? Or a charity? Again, I mean, I could. I've always kind of find this to be a little mind-boggling how much people want others to donate to charity. So we're getting rid of games from our collection. People are like, you could sell those off and make money for Jack Vasel Fund. Well, sure, I could. Or I could just sell them, make money, and then if I want to, give that money to the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund auction or something like that. Just because charities exist, I can certainly give to them. It's just always interesting that people are donating my stuff to charity. You can donate your stuff to charity. So, well, we sell our games off because we get games. We buy a lot of our games, and we also get companies to send us games. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of work to review a game. In the games that we don't keep, we sell them at pennies on the dollar at our conventions. When we have conventions. We currently have a huge storage unit full of the next con there's going to be the biggest Dice Tower sale ever because there's going to be a lot of games. But we use that money to help fund the Dice Tower. And I always feel like it's odd that people don't want me to do that. Like, we're not making a lot of money on these games at all. I think you should also use the type of band to hold the lids on board game boxes during transit. It depends on how tight they're packed in the box, but yeah, that would be a good thing. Do you keep a dehumidifier in the room with the library to keep it less humid in there? No, because again, it's in air conditioning, so you don't need a dehumidifier. That's what air conditioning does. What time is retreat over on Sunday the 12th of September? I don't know. It's later in the afternoon. You can play there all the way up till night, but the library gets closed at some point. But it's in the late afternoon or early evening that happens. Orcs ride wargs into battle, dwarfs ride rams. What would you ride into battle? I would ride the biggest possible thing you could get so that I was out of the battle. An elephant from Lord of the Rings. How, when, and why did you decide to wear suspenders for your shows? I never did. I wear suspenders. I've always found suspenders to be less constricting than a belt. A belt pushes against your waist, which I've always found to be very annoying. Suspenders just pull up on your pants, which I don't know. I don't know. So I wear suspenders on my show because I like to wear suspenders. What I wear isn't really that different than what I wear in normal life. I wear a shirt and tie most of the time. Nowadays I've been dressing down a bit, but we've been moving too. I wear hats. Now I don't wear hats inside the house, but I wear hats outside the house. Did the Heroescape find a new closet at the new studio? Yep, it's right over there. Dice Tower Library is not updated on the Board Game Geek because I'm still typing it up. It's going to be a while. I'm up to shelf 13, I think. Actually, I can look that information up right now. Dice Tower Library, yes. The last shelf I did was shelf 13. Shelf 13 had 92 games on it, as opposed to shelf 1, which had only 72 games on it. 92 is the most games on a shelf at this point in time. The fewest games on a shelf is shelf 5, which has only 37 games on it. But that's because shelves 5, 6, and 7 are the Ameritrash games, which are bigger. They have 37, 47, and 48 games. Shelves 1, 2, and 3, which have the big Ticket to Ride size games, are 72, 68, and 73. And then shelf 13, which has 92, is where the escape room games are. That's why it has more on it and has a smaller thing. There will be at least one shelf, maybe two, that go over 100. So we'll see. Brandon Sanderson recently announced that they have plans to make a new Stormlight Archive board game. He took a poll to see. Talk about suspenders, I messed with it and now it flew off. He took a poll to see if people wanted it to be light, medium, or heavy. What would you want? I don't care about that at all. I want to know who the designer of the game is. I saw that he was doing that and I was like, I almost emailed him. I was like, Brandon Sanderson, get me involved in this. I want to be involved, but I don't think he doesn't know who I am out of Adam. I emailed him once to talk about something, and he never responded. But I would love to be involved with that in some capacity. The next top 10 list. Okay, so I'm doing a top 10 list on my own this week, which will be just a small one by myself. It has to be a top 10 bingo-esque games. Then next week, me, Mike, and Z are going to be doing a top 10, which will be the top 10 years of gaming. What are the best years for gaming? Then we're going to start, well, you'll have to see what comes after that. But there's more stuff on the way. How are you storing Marvel United? I store all the expansions. I want to try to condense down the number of boxes. Well, I don't have it done exactly yet, but my goal is to keep the one Marvel United box, the main box, and the Kickstarter box. And I'm putting a full game in each of those, so the components and stuff. But that's it. The components will be the only thing, and locations in each one. But I have so many locations, I'll put half in one and half in the other. And all the components. And then I'm just going to put a bunch of villains and heroes in one and a bunch of villains and heroes in the other. I should be able to get everything into 2 boxes. With the exception, I'm going to keep the Thanos stuff separate in its own box in the expansion shelf if you want to play those. But I think I can fit almost all the Marvel United stuff in the other 2 boxes. Do your ratings start at 10 and go down, or start at 0 and go up as you play the game and get to your final rating? No. There's no way they start at 10. I think your best bet is to say every game starts at 7, which is a good game in my opinion. And then it goes up or down. It's a good question though, but no. I mean, even a game that I look at and go, I'm going to love that. Like the final game I opened in my unboxing, that goes up tomorrow, is one of my top 10 and most anticipated games of the year. I'm very excited about it. That does not start at a 10. It starts at a 7 because it might not be good. I try to temper my expectations because otherwise I get really annoyed at some games that I had such high expectations to, sometimes unfairly so. And also, now I will say there are some games that don't start at 7. I guess I should be fair. Some games might start at 8 because they look really good. But there are also games that start at 3 because I look at it and go, this game is probably garbage. Played one of those with my kids last week, and it was garbage. I like that question, though. Now with Dice Tower even owning a building, have you revised your vision for where you want to see the Dice Tower head towards in the future? I think you guys always kind of under or overestimate my vision for the Dice Tower. My vision for the Dice Tower is where we're going to be at the end of this year. I just go forward a little bit at a time. Alrighty, sorry, I was quiet there. Do you use at home Mac or PC? I'm a Mac user, as you can see from this. This is my work computer and my home computer because I use the same thing for both. I always have. I never understood, I never liked having two computers because then stuff's on one or on the other. And about 6-7 years ago, I transitioned to using laptops for everything. Unless I am in a weird spot, my computer is always with me somewhere. My computer and iPad. After playing Marvel Champions, it made Marvel United even more unsatisfying. It's an interesting system, but not enough for me to keep it. Oh, sure, that's legit. I can see people liking Marvel Champions more, but for me, Marvel United's where it's at. But I put both Venoms in the same box as Jordan, who's not talking to me, but I'm going to answer anyway. And the answer to that would be yes, I would put both in the same box. No, maybe I wouldn't, because they're going to be painted the same. Loving your passion for your home state. I don't know if Florida's my home state. My home state's Pennsylvania. But you know, I think you should be passionate and look for the good wherever you live. Otherwise, you're going to have a terrible time. I loved Korea. I loved Pensacola when I lived there, which was also Florida, but a very different area of Florida than where I live now. I love Pennsylvania, where I grew up. There's things I don't like about all these places. But whatever, the positive outweighs the negative so very much. Maybe if I lived in some horrible place somewhere, like if I was in a base in Antarctica. But then I think my thing would be like, I live in a place almost no one else is in. What do you think about the Florida humidity? I've gotten used to it. And does it affect games? Definitely affects games. But so does a lack of humidity. So let's see here. Did you see Invincible on Amazon Prime? I'm actually going to review Invincible on my next board game breakfast. Let's see here. You live Pennsylvania Amish. No, Amish are only in parts of Pennsylvania. What are people talking about? Will you be selling games at the Dice Tower Retreat? We've talked about that. It's only 200 people, so it would be problematic. I have some ideas and thoughts, but you're going to have to wait till we get closer to retreat to see what I'm going to do in that regard. But I haven't decided yet. Will there be an update for the Dice Tower Kickstarter soon? What would be the, I mean, not particularly. I always find it interesting when people ask for updates on the Kickstarter because I'm giving one right now. You're watching it. We talk about it. I mean, the promos are coming in. I know that this is an area where I'm different than other people, so I have to fight that sometimes because people like more updates than not. I just feel like an update where I'm saying, hey, everything's going along well. But here's the main thing. The Dice Tower Kickstarter, people back it so that we can put out a quality product, or at least hopefully somewhat. We're striving for quality product on the Dice Tower. We have been doing that. We have not been goofing off at all. We've been working really hard since we started. We have been knocking out the different series we said we would start to do. We've been adding in all that stuff. It's there. You bought it. We're delivering it. Now, we also have physical rewards that will be sent out, which I said would get to people in September. And we are working behind the scenes as hard as we can to get those done. I guess I could send out an update that says it's going well. But I also assume that almost everybody who backs the Dice Tower likes the Dice Tower and has backed it for the videos or the podcast, and therefore you hear about that stuff there. So that's why I haven't written a lot of updates for the Kickstarter. I don't normally write them because it's basically just if something major changes. I know some people love multiple updates on Kickstarters. I prefer that the Kickstarters don't do that and just give me information when it matters. But maybe I'm on the wrong side of the coin on that one. The light green color isn't too bad, but it definitely clashes with the red shelf. If the shelf matched the rack, it would be less of an eyesore. Yeah, so there's a couple things in that regard. First of all, I've had people who know what they're doing tell me that it's not an eyesore. Secondly, I don't care. I don't care about the eyesore thing. You're talking to a guy who's wearing blue suspenders, a cap, and a black shirt. Come on now. I mean, there comes a certain point where I just don't care. And it's also not an eyesore. You might not like it, but it's not an eyesore, and but it's all subjective. But either way, I always find it interesting that people come in and say stuff like that, and I'll be like, oh, this is an eyesore? I'm tearing this off the wall immediately. No. We try to be better. Don't get me wrong. If I have bad audio quality or something wrong with the video, let us know. We're going to try to fix it. But there are some things that are going to be the way they are because that's how I like them. On the cruise, I was hoping to see Vacation Tom in a Hawaiian shirt and linen pants, but no, more ties and suspenders. Yeah. Well, I wore a t-shirt when we went in the water. How does the library react to the trip out west? Well, it didn't love it, but it doesn't matter because we now have two libraries. The Dice Tower West library is going to be different than the Dice Tower East. But we are working on making both libraries as good as possible. When I get, some people ask me what I do with extra copies of games. They go to the Dice Tower West library. I noticed the Dice Tower library has most of the games stacked on their sides, and I've heard this is the ideal way to do it. Why is this? Because it's just for ease of pulling out. It's also aesthetically pleasing, but it's mostly for ease of pulling the game out. I want this game pulled out. Also, when you stack games on top of each other, they're crushing the weight on the bottom. You say, but what about the stuff inside? Well, two things. One, I put everything in plastic bags usually, or plastic containers, so who cares? But secondly, we put box bands and rubber bands around them. They hold them tight together, so it doesn't really matter. What's the difference between the Retreat and Dice Tower East? The biggest difference is size. There's no publishers at the Retreat. There's publishers at Dice Tower East. There's no shows really at Dice Tower Retreat. Dice Tower Retreat is just about gaming. The people coming to Dice Tower Retreat love the game. You pull a game off the shelf, you put it down, and there are going to be people who play a game with you. You can game the entire time. If you're looking for a gaming with no distractions, except maybe food once in a while, Dice Tower Retreat is what you want to do. When I go there, I am just pulling game after game off the shelf and just playing with people who are just thrilled to learn a new game or play a classic that they love. It's really fun. Love your channel. I haven't found a new copy of Kami-Sato Max in months. Would you sell yours? No. But at least you had the gumption to ask there. No, why would I sell it to you? I want it for my Dice Tower library. Encourage someone to reprint it. That would have to be the company to do that, and I don't know if they're how they're doing. COVID. Games only get reprinted if there's a huge demand for them. And Kami-Sato, as much as I love it, probably does not have that demand. I'm not even sure I have Kami-Sato in the library. I should, but make sure that my audio is still on. Yeah, okay. Will you let fans visit the Dice Tower? If you live in Miami and want a game, let me know. But if you're in the area, you can always email me and ask, but be warned that I might say no, because we're actually working here all the time. And if someone came in, it really disrupts that, and that's just not as useful. It's not that I don't love talking to people, because I really do. But yeah, we're not. Also, there's not that many people who are swinging through the area. What part of PA did I grow up in? Allentown, Pennsylvania. Let's see here. What are you most proud of when it comes to Dice Tower and where it's at today? I'm most proud of that there are people who are gamers because of Dice Tower, which is true. I mean, I'm not going to take a lot of credit for many things, but I know some people found games through the Dice Tower, became gamers, and enjoyed it. I'm very proud of that fact because I think that that's a good thing that we've done. I'm also proud of the number of people who've come through the Dice Tower and went off and got started in the hobby. Some became publishers and things. Some do their own channels and things right now. So I guess that's what I'm most proud of with the Dice Tower. Yeah, I see that people are giving back and forth. Some people don't want a lot of updates in Kickstarter, and some people do. So it's different. Oh, you folks don't have to. I had a bunch of people say how much they like the look in the background. You don't need to. That's fine. I appreciate that. I'm not here to come crashing down people who, if you don't like it, that's a very legitimate thing to not like it. I just don't think I'm going to change it because of that. Huh? If you had to choose to never play a game and live forever, or play games for the rest of your life and only live 5 more years, what would you choose? I wouldn't choose that because I don't. I don't know. That's not a. I don't see a good option either way, so I wouldn't choose. I'd make the person who was making me make the weird choice choose for me. Where does the Dice Tower West library lives with the owner, or well, the owner has it somewhere. Tim from Dice Tower West of Dice Tower West. This may have been asked, but how long is the commute to the new place? Are you trying to triangulate where it is from my position? But it's about 20 minutes. Give or take a minute or two, depending on traffic and depending on school zones. I try to leave work. I try to leave my home early enough in the morning so that I can drive normal speed limit. There's a lot of school zones between work and my house. But on the way back in the evening, you shouldn't have to worry about the school zones. Let's see here. Games come off boring a lot of the time in reviews to me, just starting out. It's hard to find games I think I'd like. Should I just buy popular games and try them out? Maybe, but if you think it looks boring from the review, then don't get it. You know, if you think a game looks, I mean, really, there's so many games out there. If you thought 80% of them look boring, you're doing okay because you're going to save yourself a lot of time. If it looks boring, click the next one. It looks boring, click to the next one. Eventually, you'll find one you like. Or pick a game that you already know you really like. Go to the Dice Tower Facebook group, say, I really like this game, but I find most other games look boring. What are games that will give me the same excitement feeling that this game does? And I bet you people will give you some good answers. How's Chief Sokotoa? Fine, but I'm a little annoyed at him right now. He didn't come help us move. He could have. He could have rearranged his... Oh, he's on 88th interdimensional possible vacation and takes his 76.3 epochs off. Fine. That seemed awfully convenient when it happened during our moving time. But last I heard from him, he's doing fine. He's undergoing one of his tri-semester metamorph things, and he's also learning how to do a Grokba, which is a combat style from Planet 62. But yeah, it seems to be okay. Last time I saw him, so I would not have tried that. That's a very defensive style. Alrighty. Well, folks, it's 1 o'clock, so we need to end this. I appreciate everybody coming on board. This is not the last live thing of this week. We got more live stuff tomorrow. I got 5 more great games tomorrow afternoon. I need to get that up and together. And I have Shoots and Marbles. Marble racing time tomorrow. Come back and join us for that. And I got reviews to do, like I said. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'm getting on this review here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching Q&A at Dice Tower. We'll see you all soon.